So in this stream, I will give you 10 important tips as usual I do on my videos, but here because we have time, I will back up each one of these tips with a lot of information and examples. Ready to go again? Okay, poor boy. Yeah, this is a problem. It's very addictive and there is only one cure. You have to ride it again. Off to Portugal next week, riding season is here. Whoa, lucky you, enjoy your time. Yeah, for me it's also fine. On the 20th of June, I'm finally take off for the trip that I planned for more than 3 years. I know that not many people like my decision, but I really want to go there. As I said many times, I'm not a politician, I'm just a motorcycle traveler. The destination that I wanted from 3 years finally came, and I cannot wait to start. Anyway, still haven't got the third person. Fair enough. Here or not, I'm going to start. So in this stream, I will give you 10 important tips as usual I do on my videos, but here because we have time, I will back up each one of these tips with a lot of information and examples. So let's begin. The first tip that I would like to give you now or to tell you now is never put yourself in a situation that you cannot handle alone. So let me explain what I mean. Situation that you cannot handle alone. It could be anything. Maybe you cannot lift your motorcycle alone, or you cannot go to a specific dirt road alone because you don't feel safe or secure on it, or you will prefer to avoid trips or destinations because you're alone. So any of this will be very important to understand in the beginning and follow this rule. Never put yourself in the situation that you cannot handle alone. For example, if you cannot lift your motorcycle alone, does mean you made a wrong choice. If you cannot ride alone on a specific dirt road, that is mean that you don't have enough skills. And what you can do in this situation is to try to improve your skills until you feel good to specific road. Or another is just to avoid these roads because you don't feel safe. In both cases, this advice will help you. Never put yourself in a situation that you cannot handle alone. It is that simple. Some people still cannot get it and they make these experiments here and there in the name of the adventure, but I think that this is absolutely wrong. On your trips, you have to stay on the track, follow your original plan, try to minimize the risk always, and all of this means never put yourself in the situation that you cannot handle alone. For example, on my trips, people always try to test me. Every time when I meet people here and there, in the towns, villages, in specific countries, it doesn't matter, but they always try to test my skills in any kind of riding conditions. It's going to be fast riding, corner ridings, filterings, maybe some dirt roads, hill climbings, and anything they can imagine. And I always ask them, why you do it? Why you always try to test myself? And they said, no, we're not planning to test you. This is the way we ride. I said, okay, you can ride like this, but this is your home. If you have a problem with the bike or with yourself, you'll be at home. But I am thousands of kilometers away. If I break my motorcycle here now, it will stop my trip. That's why I've always said, don't ride unusual riding styles or whatever you want to name it when you're on the trip. Don't risk. And it's happened I don't know how many times, but every time people try to test my skills, usually are dirt roads. A few examples I can tell you. One of the examples was from Romania a few years ago. I went to Cluj-Napoca to meet one guy, wonderful guy by the way. I'm gonna meet him now on the way to the north again. And he said, would you mind tomorrow to go out and just ride bikes a little bit here in the area? I said, yeah, absolutely, let's go to ride it. And he said, we're gonna have some dirt roads, but nothing significant. I said, that's fine, no problem with the dirt roads. And on the next day, we went to ride on these dirt roads, and they were fine at the beginning, something like TET roads, smooth, open roads, then became more narrow, more hill climbings, more rocky stuff here and there. This was also fine, but at the end we finished in very, very deep mud up to the middle of the bike, and it became a real torture. So we went to all of that, but I finally stopped and said, listen, I don't need all of this while I'm on the trip, because if I break my motorcycle here, this will be the end of the trip. So I want to preserve my motorcycle. That's why I said never put yourself in a situation that you cannot handle alone. Even if you're capable to do it, like in my situation, I can do it, I know that I can do it, but if I am alone, I will never go there. I went there just because of him, because he wanted to test my skills, and I cannot say, no, I won't come. That's why. It's more about my ego. I can easily say, no, please forget about it, but because he invited me, if I say no, he will probably say, yeah, you're scared, you pretend to be a big rider, but you're afraid to come here and there. That's why I went. But if I'm alone, I will never go there. So if you can put yourself in a situation like that, it is always better to avoid it. Even if you got company, like in my situation, I've got the company, so I can rely on someone to help me. It is not good idea to ride like this on the trips. It does not work, definitely. I have nothing to prove, and it will be exactly the same for you. You have nothing to prove. Just because you went through a difficult section during your trip will not or won't prove anything. It will be just one difficult section on your trip, one moment that you risk the condition of your motorcycle and probably shorten the life of your motorcycle just to prove this section. Especially when you're on the trip, I said it many times. To risk a lot is just pointless. Keep the original plan, as I said many times. No need for additional stress on the bike. This is very, very important. So first advice, never put yourself in a situation that you cannot handle alone. And everything that I told you so far should give you some idea to think of, or maybe to get some experience from my examples like that. I have many, but this is just one of the examples that I gave you, that this riding over there gave me nothing in a motorcycle travel point of view. It just gave me some rough or hard moments that I don't really need on the trip. Anyway, the second tip that I would like to give you now is to travel alone or with maximum one friend. This is very, very important. In my opinion, it is better to be alone, but if you don't feel safe and secure alone, travel with maximum one person. A very good friend of mine, person that you know very well, person that you have at least a few trips together. They might be short trips or long trips, whatever, but you know each other very well. You might disagree on this, but sooner or later you will learn these lessons. So groups ridings are very risky. Believe it or not, they are risky. If you're leader of the group, you will risk much more than others. First, you have to follow the road. You have to check your navigation all the time. You have to be sure that everything is all right. You stay on the track because so many people behind you will rely on you. And if you're in the last position, you will risk again a lot because you have to twist a little bit more to catch the others. If you're somewhere in the middle, it's the same story. You have to look people in front of you, you have to look people behind you. So in the groups, you will always have risky situations because all riders are different. Everyone got a different riding style. And on the long trips, most of them will have even a different type of motorcycles. And it is very difficult to ride together with someone with 1000 cc when you have 600 cc. And because of that, you'll have many situations that your motorcycle will be on the limit or their motorcycle will be on the limit, and because of that it is just more risky to travel in a big group. On the other hand, if you're alone, you have the whole control just for you. You ride with the speed that you like, you stop when you want to stop, you twist when you want to twist, no problems whatsoever. Everything is on you, the mistakes as well. Even one person, even if you travel with just one person, could be also dangerous, because this person will give you some false courage. This person will give you false courage. What I mean by that? Exactly what I said a few minutes ago with the guy from Romania. when the guy give you this false courage, you will go to the places where usually you won't go alone. So let me tell you another story. A friend of mine going very often to Georgia, but last year he went with another one friend of mine, and he said, this year I went to many more places that I was not able to go alone because I was afraid that I'm alone. But this year, because I've got a friend of mine, we went to many more interesting places. This is another part. Yes, when you have a friend, you might have more interesting trips to see more interesting places, but also you will risk much more just because you have someone with you. I hope that this makes sense now. Yeah, if you know that you can do it alone, you have enough skills, you don't need any courage. So for example, if I see a dirt track here on the left side, that is some kind of shortcut in my trip, when I see the track, when I start riding on it, I can see that I have enough skills for this place, so for this short connection, and I can do it alone. I don't need anyone with me. I don't need any courage. But when the track is difficult, this is the moment when I'm gonna need someone, and this is the moment where you can have problems. I hope that now makes sense even more. With a company, you will overestimate your skills. Another one example. When you have a company, you will overestimate your skills because you will rely on the company that you have with you. I'm not saying that this is bad. No, this is the way maybe to learn a little bit more. But on the trip, you don't need to learn. Everything that you have to learn, you have to do it before the trip. On the trip, you just need to execute it, to go from point A to point B. This is not a learning process because the mistakes are going to be very expensive and painful. That's why I said you will learn, but learn before, not during the trip. And once again, alone you have full control. Everything is on you. That's why I love it so much. Alone you will avoid very risky situations. So let me give you a few examples again. A few years ago I was in Bulgaria. I was trying to make one shortcut in the mountain. It was a mountain pass that is very well described in Google Maps, and it's actually showed like a real normal road. But when I went there, it turns that it's just like a single track going through the mountain. And it was very steep climbing, a lot of mud, and I went to some stage maybe in the middle of this road, and finally I gave up. I said, okay, that's enough. It's a lot of mud. My motorcycle is heavy. I still have a lot of kilometers to cover. It was the beginning of my trip, and I have no telephone connection. I have no one with me. And this is the moment when I said, stop it, just stop it. But if I had someone with me, I will go. I will risk much more. Yes, if you're alone, you'll avoid all of these situations. And this happened many times on my trips. When I see that situation is not really clear, when I see that the risk is much more than I can afford at the moment, when I see that the track or the road is above my riding skills, I always prefer to say stop and go back. I don't do anything in the name of the adventure. Adventure is a good word, it's a marketing word actually, but it does not help when you have a problem. It is just some kind of hype or illusion, whatever you want to name it. That's enough for the second point, travel alone or with a maximum one friend. My advice is going to be always, if you can, travel alone. If you have a passenger, it is like to travel alone because you have a passenger to share the moments, but you don't have someone to travel with. So you travel with one motorcycle, everything is very simple. Hello Pete. Sorry, we already started, you delayed, but anyway, nice to see you here. Thank you very much for the support. You're one of the last channel members, if I'm not mistaken, from UK. Let's go to number 3. And number 3 actually is very important, and I probably should have started with it, but anyway, always wear full motorcycle gear. I guess that I don't need to explain you why, but I still cannot understand why some people believe that they are made from steel. They are not. Dress for the slide, not the ride, they say. And I think they are absolutely right, because on the trips you don't know when you might have a problem. It might be just when you start traveling, it might be on the last day, it might be from the moment when you decided that you don't need your gear because you will go to the local supermarket. It might happen at any time. So dress for the slide, not for the ride. This is very interesting and very right phrase, and I love it. And you might say, yeah, Pavlin, but it is not comfortable. All right? I told you many times that comfort and safety, they never work together. If you want to be comfortable, take your car, turn on your air conditioning, get your shorts and your t-shirts, and you can travel like me at the moment. This is comfortable. When you travel with a motorcycle, you need full gear. If you want to stay alive on your trips, full gear always, which is mean pants, jacket, helmet, gloves and boots. This is the minimum. We already discussed in one of the previous streams everything about the gear, what gear you should have, but this is the minimum that you can have with you. Wearing gear on the hot day is way better than spending days, weeks or months recovering from injuries. Don't you agree with this? If you, for some reason, drop your motorcycle or have an accident somewhere on the road and got many injuries, even if they are small, only the part of the skin was missing here and there, you'll have many days, weeks and months to recover, and you'll remember all of these things. Anjum, sorry Pavlin, I am the third person, but this is my first time on live chat and YouTube. I have finally got back and bike after 20. No problem whatsoever. I just want to know who is the third person. Anyway, welcome on the stream. I hope that you will find some useful information. Anyway, guys, when I finish with everything that I planned here, at the end of the stream, I will give you enough time for questions. So if you want to ask me anything else, you can do it. Oh, Pete, your first time. There is always first time. Actually, about 15 or 16 streams ago was my first stream, so I understand what you mean. It will be easier every other time. Don't worry about it. Anyway, back to the gear. Even a simple gear, the minimum that I told you, boots, pants, jacket, gloves and helmets, protects a lot. Anjum, you're from Germany. Okay. So even a simple gear protects a lot. For example, during my accident in Turkey 2 years ago, I've got boots, pants, jacket, helmet and gloves. And guess what? After I've got the accident on the highway with about 80-90 kilometers per hour, the crash hit me on the side. I flew into the air, smashed the front bonnet of the car, smashed the front window and opened 2 airbags of the car. I was intact. Only my knee was swallowed a bit, but after 1 week I was fine. So I always preach about full gear, as you know, but even I did not have any clue how much it protects. So I don't have any bruises, I don't have any injuries, I don't have anything. On the same day I went and made an x-ray just to make sure that everything is alright, but I have no broken bones and nothing. Just a swallow knee that recover after 10 days. So even the minimum that I told you protects a lot. But without it, I cannot even imagine what it will be. Again, to the topic that with the gear, with full gear, it's not comfortable. No, you will get used to it. It will become like a second nature. It will be alright. Just give it a few days or weeks or months and you'll feel comfortable with it. I have no problems to ride with full gear all the time, and I do it all the time, even here around the town. And people always ask me, where are you going? I said, nowhere, I'm just here riding. And why you dress like that if you're still riding in the town? And I always ask back, okay, so what will happen if you have an accident in the town? Yeah, and the answer is, yeah, you'll be injured. And what will happen if I have accident out of the town if I travel? Yeah, you'll be injured. And I said, okay, why don't you have your gear in the town, but you have it when you travel with a motorcycle? What is the difference? There's no difference. If you have an accident, you will have an accident. You'll roll on the road with, it doesn't matter how many kilometers, your elbows, your wrists, your knees, your body will hit the ground. You'll slide on the asphalt very badly. And all of this will be a problem, a big problem. So that's why I always said, full gear, you'll get used to it. For example, I already adjust my gear shift and rear brake pedal for my boots. So if I go now with the normal sport shoes or something, it's not going to be comfortable, because with the boots, for example, I adjust it to have just a minimum on the top of my boot. But if I have the sport shoes now, it will be like that. So I have to lift my feet every time if I want to change the gears. And it is the same for the brake pedal. I adjust it for the boots. If I have now different shoes, it will be different story. So that's why I said I feel comfortable with it. I adjust all the levers for it, and I always ride with full gear. And you have to do it as well if you want to stay alive on the trips. There is no other secrets. Okay, let's go to number 4. Avoid confrontations on the road. This is very important. Many years ago, I had to make a driving license in Germany. First time when I went to Germany, it was in 1999. Bulgaria was not part of European Union, and I was able to drive a car or ride a motorcycle with my Bulgarian driving license for only 6 months. And after that, I needed to go and take a German driver license. This was the law. Now Bulgaria is part of European Union, and this is not necessary anymore, but back in the days it was. So I went to the whole procedure and got this German license. And more or less the tests for license are more or less the same in every country. But on the German test, there was one question that I remember it, and the question was like something like, I'll try to translate it. It was something like, you have to drive the way that you can predict the mistakes of others. Oh, this is some kind of offensive riding or something like, not offensive, preventing riding. So you have to drive the way that will allow you to predict the mistakes of others. First thing that I can tell on this topic, avoid confrontations on the road, is to try to predict it and eventually avoid it. Keep your temper. The trip is long and anything could ruin it. So there is no point of view or reason for you to be angry on every stupid driver, rider, truck driver, bus driver, whatever, because you have so many days to spend on the trip. You have to cover so many kilometers and eventually many different countries, many different cultures. It is normal to have idiots here and there. So if you keep your temper down, it will help you a lot, because the trip is more important than you at the moment. The goal to go to see everything that you have planned and come back home safe, it's more important than your moment ego or whatever you want to name it. For example, I told you once, and I'm going to tell you again, many years ago I was very, how I have to say, person with not much temper. I was very angry. I was yelling and fighting on almost every traffic light in the town. Yeah, I confess that. I'm not proud with this, but I confess. But now I'm so down to earth, I'm so relaxed that even when people said, oh, go ahead, fuck you, I said, okay, fair enough, and I continue riding. I just don't want to argue with anyone, because I know that if I continue, the problem will escalate and will finish to the most primitive way, to fight each other. On 50 years, to go and fight people on the street, this is stupid. On the trip, it's even more stupid. That's why I prefer to keep my temper. If you want to say that, just to keep your ego in your pants, if you want to say, and it always helps. Keep your temper, because when you travel in a different country, in different situation, different people, you don't know how this might finish. And if you want to stay alive on the trip, this is another advice that I can give you. I'm sure also when I said keep your temper, this will help you to the rest of the days, or the rest of the hours that you have on the day, or the days after that. I'm sure that you have heard about the butterfly effect. A little situation in the morning could become a real disaster in the evening. So if you have a problem with someone in the morning, will react on your emotions for the whole day, and you'll be angry and you can make a lot of mistakes. And as you know, mistakes on the trip or on a motorcycle are not that easy to control. Riding angry won't help you at all. It is proven. They say that when you ride a motorcycle, you have to be concentrated on the ride, not on the problems that you have at home. So if someone make you angry early in the morning, You will keep all of this to the whole day. So try to avoid these problems. Try to prevent these problems. Try to see these problems in advance. You can do it very easy if you travel with a normal, affordable speed and when you have a good distance between you and other people from the traffic. You can see the mistakes in advance. You can just slow down, avoid them, or whatever is necessary. But to prevent all of this is happening in the first place. Yes, of course, you need concentration, and this is not possible when you have to think about problems. Forget about it. I told you already, learn how to see the possible problems in advance. It is very easy. It might sound like something very, very difficult, like some kind of, how I have to say, whatever. But it's very easy. If you just spend a little bit more time to think about it, or to learn how people behave. If you just, as I said, if you just have enough distance and enough time, you can react, you can predict anything. Also, try to read the traffic. It is the same. To read people's mind or traffic is the same. If you're 20 years old, you don't know how, but when you're 30, 40 or 50, you should have learned it already. Number 5, ride the bike that you can control. Okay, this is my favorite. And people might say, oh, sure, Pavlin, I got KTM 1290 and I love it. Fair enough, but can you control it? In all conditions, dry asphalt, rain, dust, on and off-road, hard terrains and unpredictable situations, unless you're Chris Birch, you probably cannot. People might argue, I'm fine, I've got it from 2-3 years, I've been to so many places, I've been to whole Europe, I've been to Morocco, I've been here and there, fine, but can you control it? In dry asphalt, rain, dust, on and off-road, bad terrains, unpredictable situations? And the answer will be, yes, I can, but the reality is completely different. Completely different. Another question that I can ask, did you practice enough before the trip? With the motorcycle that you love, for example, this KTM 1290, did you practice enough in all of the conditions that I just described it? In most of the situations, the answer will be no. If you live in Europe, most of the guys from Europe, they did not even have the chance to go off the asphalt because it is forbidden. The only way that they can try their motorcycles is if they go to a specific off-road tracks. But these specific off-road tracks are not designed for these heavy elephants. They are designed for enduro bikes. You can try here and there just a little bit, dirt roads, but it is not going to be something that will give you much knowledge, especially if you do it once per year or once per month. So on the question, did you practice enough before the trip? The answer will be no in 90% of the cases. Luckily, here in Bulgaria, we still got this chance. Off-road is still free. They try to put a new rules and regulations, but it is still free. The area I live is with off-road trucks everywhere. And I do it every day. They are not difficult tracks, but every day I can practice with my motorcycle because just to get out of my place, I use these dirt roads. And on the dirt roads to come back. This is just one example. And the second question that I can give you is, do you really need all of that power? Do you really need 160 horsepower when you travel? You want to stay alive on the trip, that's why you're watching this stream. You want to know how to protect yourself. And I'm asking you now, do you really need all of that power? Do you really need it 120, 30, 40, 50 or 60 horsepower on the trip? And if you're honest with yourself, you'll say, I don't need it. I did 90% of my trips on 50 horsepower motorcycle or less. And do you know what? I was fine. I never felt underpowered. Wim Ross, but what to do if there are no trucks, dirt trucks in the region? Well, as I said, it is unfortunate. Unfortunately, this is the situation for 90% of the European riders. What to do, I don't know. Every time when you go on the trip, if you have the chance to ride on some kind of dirt roads, just try to include it in your trip. For example, you can go to many TET roads in almost every country. You can have some TET roads. I was wondering why people want to spend like so many days riding on TET roads. I never got this desire, never ever. But for me, it's easy. If I want to go on the dirt roads, I will just go. But if you live in Europe, the only dirt roads that you can get are TED roads here and there. That's why maybe people love it. Now, because of you, I've got the answer. Thank you very much. So what to do, I don't know. Depends on your country and your situation, and where you can find at least some possible ways to test your motorcycle on the dirt roads, at least to know how it behaves. Because what happens usually, people buy these heavy elephants and they are advertised like the best off-roaders, the best adventure motorcycles and stuff like that. Pete Watson, they are here in UK, they are called green lanes, but not really off-road, just dirt tracks. Yeah. So what is happening, people buying these heavy adventure motorcycles, they've seen a lot of advertisement and they see people riding on it, like Chris Birch. They do miracles with these motorcycles. Another example is Paul Tares with the Tenere. They can play like a toy with this motorcycle and show you everything. But the reality is that when you don't have this motorcycle, you don't know how it will react. But when you buy it in Europe, for example, and you don't have any chance to try it on the dirt roads, you will believe that it is fantastic motorcycle. And then when you have the chance, for example, you're coming to Bulgaria and you have the chance to go on the TED road, you might destroy the motorcycle or even kill yourself because you don't know how this motorcycle reacts or behaves on such a terrains. That simple it is. If you want to have this motorcycle, if you want to have this type of trips, you have to find a way to practice. Otherwise, it's going to be pointless to have it on the first place. That's why I said right in the beginning, number 5, ride the bike that you can control. And I don't believe that many of the riders of 1290 can control it. Or at least I haven't seen someone that is so skilled that this 250-60 kilograms motorcycle is not a problem for him. Everyone who got the skills to ride off-road and got the experience will tell you that this motorcycle is already too heavy. Even my Tenere, 200 kilograms, 205 kilograms, is way too heavy for dirt roads. Just because you can use it here and there does not mean that this is off-road motorcycle, or you have to spend, or you can spend many kilometers, thousands of kilometers on the dirt tracks. It will probably break before that. As I said, I did 90% of my trips on 50 horsepower or less. I never need more. Tenere 700 with this 70 horsepower is more than enough for traveling. It is actually, in fact, in most of the situations, is more than I needed. This 20 horsepower extra that I've got compared to the old Tenere are just a bonus that I use it here and there if I need to twist a little bit more, but I don't really need it. If you need more, learn how to control it. As I said just a few minutes ago, I don't really see how someone will learn how to control 160 horsepower on the dirt roads, but this is a different story. Also, you have to know that the power comes with responsibilities, not only for you, but for your passenger if you have one. Also, for the others people that riding around you or driving cars around you. So this 160 horsepower, they might be very nice, but they comes with some responsibilities, and you have to know that. As I said, especially if you have a passenger. It is very easy to make a mistake with powerful engine, and it's not that easy and way more simple to control the mistake when the motorcycle is not that powerful and not that heavy. For example, if you have 250cc motorcycle, even if you drop it on the ground, it's not a big deal. You can lift it. The injuries are not going to be that bad because it is just 160 kilograms or even less. And you cannot twist that far, or that you cannot use so much power that you cannot even control. That's why on all of these heavy and powerful motorcycles, they've got all the systems. They've got traction control, hill assistance, cornering ABS. They've got everything, because without it, it will be just disaster. The only moment that the power might help, in my opinion, is when you make some overtakes and when there's a lot of traffic or big buses or lorries, and when you need just to twist a little bit more. In UK, join the TRF, Trail Riders Fellowship, legal roads updated regularly. Yeah, you see, when you look for it, you will find the solutions. There's no problems, only solutions. This is a famous phrase. Even in UK, you can find some places where you can train with your motorcycle. If you cannot find these places in almost every country or neighbor countries around you, you can join some adventure courses. Over there, with your motorcycle or with the motorcycles that they offer, you can have like a 2-3 days course, and you can ride in many different conditions. The best way will be with your motorcycle, because this will be the motorcycle that you're gonna ride after that. At least this you can do. It's not going to be enough, but it will give you at least the basics needs of controls and everything that will eventually help you to finish your trip and come back home safe in one piece. All right, let's go to number 6, which is actually related with number 5. Practice, practice, and practice. Practice makes perfect, you know. The more you practice, the better you will become. It is so obvious. If you're a football player, the more you play, the better you will become. If you're a weightlifter, the more you lift weights, the better you will become. If you're a motorcycle traveler, practice more and you will become a better motorcycle traveler or rider, whatever you want to name it. Anything you do before the trip will help you during the trip. That's why I said so many times, it is so important to have to practice with your motorcycle in any kind of road conditions. Dirt roads, smooth roads, asphalt roads, in the rain, in the dust, in the mud, you know everything. All of this will help you to come back home safe in one piece. Practice riding, but not only riding, pushing it around, lifting it from the ground, anything that is including motorcycles. So on the trips you will have a moment where you have to lift the motorcycle from the ground, and if you never practiced this before, it might be very challenging and difficult for many, especially if the motorcycle is heavy. So a little bit of practice won't hurt at all. As I said, if you cannot afford it, watch them online and practice in specific places. So as I said, there are a lot of there are many off-road courses that you can take for adventure riders, but if you cannot afford it, you can watch a lot of videos on YouTube for how to control or how to practice with adventure motorcycle, and then you can try to replicate all of these movements at home. You just watch these guys, they will show you some specific techniques, and then you can practice with your motorcycles when you have enough time. You don't need even to go to the dirt tracks, you can do it on a local parking or on the places that there are no cars or no traffic. I've been asked a number of times why I don't make videos about how to ride a motorcycle with specific techniques or stuff like that, and I always answer exactly the same. I know how to ride, I know how to travel, but to know how to travel or how to ride, it's different than to know how to teach someone to travel or ride. I can teach you how to travel, I can give you some information that no one will give you, but I cannot teach you how to ride your motorcycle. It is very, very difficult job, and it is not for everyone. That's why some people are named instructors, because they know how to teach people to ride or drive. I'm not one of these people. Practice slow and different maneuvers, filtering in the traffic, U-turns in tight spaces, climbing sidewalks, and many more. You cannot have enough practice. Practice will help you to control your motorcycle, whatever cubic centimeters you have, whatever horsepower you have. The practice will help you to learn how to control it, and eventually all of this combined will help you to stay alive during your trips. The next one, number 7, travel as light as possible. My favorite phrase is the weight always matters, and it is my favorite with a reason. The lighter you are, the easier it's going to be on the trip, and I have absolutely no doubts about it. Every weight that you've got will be only a problem when you travel. I usually travel with around 15 kilograms of luggage in my saddlebag and around 3-4 kilograms in my tank bag. These 3-4 kilograms on the tank bag I cannot reduce because this is my camera gear that I need to film the videos for the channel. But the other 15 kilograms I always try to polish it, tune it, whatever is possible. Now for my trip to Russia, I will try to tune it and polish it even more. So every time I spread everything around, and then I think, okay, this one I might need it, but I might not. If it's made, I just remove it, and then I can easily go without it. And this is exactly what I plan to do now just before the trip. I will reduce my luggage even more. I'll try to keep it something like 10 to 12 kilograms maximum. For that reason, I'm not gonna take even my sleeping bag. The sleeping bag that I've got, it's not that big, it's like that. I don't think that is more than 500-600 grams, but because it's very bulky, it takes a lot of space in my luggage. And on my trip to Russia now, I really doubt that I'm gonna have that I have to open a tent somewhere. But even if I have to sleep in the tent, I'm gonna do it without a sleeping bag, without any problem. First, because it's going to be summer. Even if it's cold, I can always do it with my riding gear. And I will be fine to survive one night. On the other hand, if you plan to sleep in your tent every night, if you plan 2 weeks trip and you plan 2 weeks on the tent, it's a different story. But on my trips, the tent and camping gear is just like an emergency use. That's why I'll try to minimize it as small as possible. I already said that fewer kilograms are equal to fewer problems on the road. Try to lift your motorcycle with and without the luggage and you'll see what I'm talking about. It is noticeable. Even if you have a minimum, it is noticeable. That's why I said try to travel as light as possible. Revise and refine your luggage many times before the trip. Exactly what I told you that I'm gonna do in the next few days before the trip. In the end, any kilograms matters. I told you that the sleeping bag is no more than 500-600 grams, but at the end, when you calculate everything, one on the top of another, and it became very, very heavy. Yes, Wim Ross, yes, I will make a video if I have time about the luggage that I'm going to take. I've done videos like that 3-4 times, but I will make at least one video about the gear that I'm going to take, riding gear, jacket and everything. I'm gonna make it now before I start. So I will do something like that. Hard or soft luggage, this is forever battle and it is very different for everyone. I personally prefer to have soft luggage for a very simple reason, because it allows me to travel lighter. If I have a hard panniers, they already weigh enough when they are empty. That's why I prefer to have soft luggage. But if your trips are different, if you want to have your hard panniers, no worries, just use it. If you like panniers, fine, but at least leave the top box at home. This is my advice. Top box is a terrible solution, terrible equipment to have on the trip, but I'm not gonna rant on this topic. Something that most of the people cannot understand, and maybe you as well, that you're not a great rider, you have been lucky. I always laugh when someone starts talking about his experience and they say, well, I ride so many motorcycles, I've got so much experience, I'm very good, I can predict everything, I see the problems in advance, I can avoid it and stuff like that. No, stop, forget about it. You're not a great rider, you've just been lucky. Everyone is lucky until he's not. Or everyone thinks that he's right until he's not. So don't wait the destiny to show you that you're not that great rider, you've just been lucky so far. You shouldn't forget that. You're not a great rider, you've just been lucky. Many years of experience cannot guarantee anything. I can prove this from my last crash in Turkey. It might be even bad advisor. The experience sometimes it's a bad advisor, because you rely on your experience and you believe that everything is going to be all right, but it's not. Let me tell you what happened in Turkey if you don't know so far. In Turkey, I was riding on the highway on the left lane, and then I was looking for the exit that I need to go. I still remember this exit, and I'll probably remember it until the end of my life. The name was Maltepe. And I was looking for this exit Maltepe. I know that on that exit I have to go out, and I haven't got GPS. As you know, I'm different. I try to travel without the GPS. I always try to navigate myself by signs and everything that I know. Paper map. So this was in Istanbul. I did not have any GPS, and I saw the sign Maltepe. And I understand that I don't have any time for reaction. I have to cross the road like that. And of course, in a normal situation, when I have the time, when I have everything, I can slow down, check on the mirror to make sure that there's no one behind me. Then turn my head over my shoulder, make sure that there is no one. And then I can move to the middle lane. And then I can repeat this once again. Slow down, check the mirror, look over my shoulder. And if there's no one, I can move to the top right lane, slow down, check again, and then go out on the exit. But because I saw this multiple in last moment, I checked very fast. I was not 100% sure that there is no one. I was like 95% sure that there are no cars. But I'm sure that in your ridings, you also experience similar situations. When you stop, for example, on a very busy crossroad, out of cars, traffic from everywhere, and you start to look left, right. You're looking for this few seconds gap to go. And on one stage, you're not like 100% sure, but you're not 95% that it's all right, you can go. And you just go. I catched myself many times in situations like that. And every time I was saying to myself, please never do it again, because I was not exactly sure for this spot here. I haven't seen it so well because I was on hurry. But even so, I did it. And in situation in Turkey was exactly like that. I checked very fast. I saw that there are no cars. But this 5% that I misunderstood or underestimate were like, BAM! And that's it, end of the story. Luckily, I was lucky enough to go without any serious problems. But this is the difference between, or how I have to say, the ice is very thin. Stay alive or die. And these 5% are crucial. And after that, I've got many comments from people. Oh, you have to slow down going to the middle lane. I know. Oh, you have to look over your shoulder. I know. Oh, you should have a GPS and check in advance. I know. Or you should do this or that. Oh, you should know the traffic in Istanbul. I know all of these guys. I'm riding from so many years. The first time when I jumped on the motorcycle, I was 14 years old. 14 years old. I've been to so many countries. I spent so many hours riding in any kind of conditions. Even so, I made a mistake. That's why I said sometimes the experience, it's a bad advisor. So don't really rely on it. Just rely on what you have learned so far and always try to be 100% sure before you do any maneuvers. As I said once again, you're not a great rider, you've just been lucky. That's it. No one is immune to accident, definitely. It could happen anywhere, anytime, definitely. There is no time for reaction, definitely. Just because you have many years of experience does not mean that you will be able to react in this situation. The only reaction that I got at that was what? Nothing. I did not even saw the car. The only reaction that I got, I just heard the brakes like ee, and then BAM! No reaction at all. And because of that, you need a full motorcycle gear all the time, because you cannot predict when or where the accident will happen. It might be in the town, it might be out of the town, it might be on the highway, it could be everywhere. Let's go to number 9. The world is a mirror of yourself. This might sound a little bit not on the place, because we're talking about how to stay alive on the trips, but believe me, it is. I'm sure that you have heard this dog in the mirror's room. I'm sure that we have heard this. Dog in the mirror's room. A dog went into the room with mirrors, and the dog made like this. And all the mirrors made exactly the same. And when the dog smiled to the mirrors, all the mirrors smiled back. This is exactly what the world is. If you go like the dog around the world, and everywhere you go, you present yourself like an angry person, full of anger and full of bad behavior, what you will expect in return? Exactly the same. So if you want to come back home safe in one piece, or to stay alive on your trips, even if you travel the world, this is something that you have to remember, and something that you have to remind yourself all the time, that the world is a mirror. If you have a normal riding behavior, you drive safely, you don't push the people, It will be exactly the same for you. I always hear people complaining, oh, you don't know how bad it is in this country or how bad it is in that country. I have heard so many stories about Bulgaria, but wait, I'm from Bulgaria. I'm riding here for many years and I haven't seen anything bad at all. It is the same everywhere around the world. I spent so many years in Germany. In Germany also you can find some assholes. It's the same everywhere. Even the Germans, the most disciplined drivers, sometimes are just idiots. It is what it is. This is a general advice, dog mirrors, but it's a very important on the trip. Your behavior will determine the reaction of others. If you're a bad person, you'll have a bad reaction. If you're a good person, polite person, you'll have the same back. Respect any religion and don't flock with yours. This is a very sensitive topic. And if your religion is different than the country that you have been, please respect it and don't flock with yours. Just because you come from a big and powerful country does not make you and your religion superior. This is very important, especially for people from the States, UK, Germany. Usually when they're coming to a third world country, as they say, their behavior is very arrogant. I'm from America, we have this, we have that. Well, who cares? You just visit this country, behave normally, and you'll have the same in return. And once again, read people in advance and always try to avoid problems. And number 10, the last. Always trust your sixth sense. You might not believe it, but you have it. It is the voice that you hear from inside telling you don't go there, don't do it. I cannot even count how many times it saved me from doing some really stupid things. Thousands of times. If I am able to reach 50, almost 50 next year, and I'm still alive, for, how I have to say, if you know in what I have been involved in my life, you understand what I mean. Because I always listen to my sixth sense. Interesting enough, but it comes naturally and you don't need any practice just to listen to it. So you don't need to practice your sixth sense. What you need is just to listen to it. That's it. If your sixth sense from inside telling you, don't go to this road, it does not worth the risk. You're on a trip, keep your route, forget about it, don't risk here, don't risk there. Well, this person don't look so friendly, I'm not gonna stop here. Or this town, it's very big, I might have problems here, let's go and overnight on the village next to it. All of this is your sixth sense, your brain, your friend, the only friend that you've got when you travel. 1 hour, okay, 1 hour. Now, guys, I'm gonna give you time. If you have any questions on the topics that we discuss, how to stay alive on the trip, or any other questions, go ahead. I'm here to help you if I can, of course. I'm glad that I've got new people here, and as I said many times, thanks to your questions here now on the stream, we can make the stream even more interesting, to provide even more information because of you guys. In a post that you said the Russian trip is very expensive, but why so expensive? The reason why is because it's very long. First, kilometers are many. Kilometers are almost 30,000 kilometers. If you count only the petrol for this 30,000 kilometers, it's already an expensive journey. The second is the hotels that I have to pay during that trip. If you count that this will be 90 days, if I pay for hotels for 90 days, it is already an expensive journey. And the third is the food. So I have to buy a food for 90 days. That's why the trip became so expensive. But mostly it's because of the kilometers that I have to spend. Luckily, the prices in Russia are very good compared to Europe. And I will be able to travel. Of course, I'm gonna tell you everything when I come back, but I believe that I will be able to travel and have accommodation and food for only 30 euros per day. Believe it or not. I'm gonna confirm this when I come back, but I believe that I will be able to make it. But even so, even if I plan 30 euros per day, it is still a price when you split it to 90 days. And yeah, I have some sponsors, but they're like 50% of the money I've got from sponsors. The rest are just my savings. Itinerary traveler, preparations prevents most of my problems. Planning, and more planning. Yes, absolutely. Preparations are crucial. Everything you do before the trip will help you during the trip, as I said this many times. And I cannot stress enough how important is the preparation. Practice is the part of the preparation as well. It is to the preparation. You have to put it all together. Yeah, absolutely. Any more questions, guys? Any topic? Other day, a friend of mine I met here in the town, and he asked me, where are you going now? I said, oh, I'm going to Russia. And he said, oh, Russia, oh. How many kilometers? I said, oh, it will be around 30,000 kilometers. And he said, oh, man, oh, poor boy. Now you have to ride so many kilometers, 30,000 kilometers. What are you talking about? And I said, well, man, I cannot wait to start. And you're talking like I'm going to the jail. I'm going to the trip, man. I love this. I cannot wait to start. But he was thinking that I'm going to punish myself with 30,000 kilometers. Whatever. When I have the time, kilometers are not a problem. Traveler, limit alcohol consumption. Absolutely. Even if you like drinks, try to limit it. Because if you get a little bit more, on the next day it will be like not so good to ride. I don't know how I'm going to do it now in Russia, but it is what it is. Ah, yeah, absolutely. Drinking with locals could be detrimental. Depends on the locals. Yeah, in Russia you cannot say I don't drink. Then you're going to have hundreds more questions why you don't drink. At the end, it is just easier to drink a little bit and forget about it. I've got one video coming now on Monday. It is already done. Next week I'm gonna make a video about the exhaust that I've got on my Tenere, this MIF exhaust. And before I go, I will record another one video. It's going to be about a jacket that I've got from Revit. It is a Revit off-track. This is actually the jacket that I'm gonna take with me on the trip. And this will be everything before I go. And the video with the jacket you will probably see when I'm already on the road. And if I have time, I might have another one to show you what kind of gear I've got. But if not, I'm gonna do it when I come back. When I come back, I can prove even with more details what was the gear that I've got on the trip, what works, what not, and many more like this. You'll be in Portugal. Oh, thank you very much. Good luck to you as well. Yeah, about the information and about the short updates, as I said, I'm gonna use the second channel to do some short updates every day or every other day, just a short updates how I'm going, where I'm going. So if you haven't, please subscribe to the second channel, Motorcycle Adventures Life. Over there I'll share all the information that I've got at the moment. The reason of that is, I told you two reasons. First reason is because I want to separate the channels, one for only advice, the second for traveling. The second is because I'm afraid that some of these posts, because they come from Russia, might be blocked from YouTube. I don't know, we'll see. Wim Ross, but why off-track? Sun has more ventilation that you can close, better to regulate the temperature. No, the new off-track jacket got a very good ventilation, and it hasn't got the mesh that the old off-track got here. It's a different design. I like it very much. And the rain gear that it has is completely different. You're gonna see it in the video. It is actually, you have to wear it on the top, not underneath. So the new off-track got a different design, and that's why I prefer to have it. Also, it's very light, and I don't expect any cold days. That's why I will prefer to go with the off-track instead of the Gore-Tex gear that I've got. But on the pants will be my Dominator GTX Gore-Tex pants. I'm gonna show you everything in the video. And by the way, the off-track got a better ventilation. Sand got pockets that you can open like a triangle here, but off-track you can open the whole part like that, very big. It became only mesh here. So the ventilation of the off-track is much better. I can zip it if I don't need it, and I don't expect any hot weather over 30 degrees, but I can close it if it's necessary. But here on the top, the off track was with only mesh. The new, it's closed. It's a good gear. I like it very much. Alright guys, I'm gonna give you a few more minutes. People became more when I'm about to finish the trip, the stream. I don't know why. So if you have a few more questions, go ahead, and then I'm gonna end the stream. 8 people already in the last moment. For everyone who came late, don't worry about it. On Tuesday, the same stream will be edited and uploaded on my second channel, Motorcycle Adventures Live. It will be the same stream. I will just cut some moments that I don't speak, just to make it as short as possible. That's it. All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for asking questions. Thank you very much on the first place to support my channel, be part of the journey. I really appreciate all of this, and it doesn't matter how tired I am or how do I want or I don't want to make a video. I always do it because of you guys, because of all of you, because I promised I have to deliver it. Anyway, see you next Sunday, 18th of June. Still don't know the topic, but I'll find something. Anyway, bye bye.